In sports, one hit, one shove, or one bad call can turn a game into pure chaos. From benches clearing to players charging the stands, these are the moments when competition crossed the line and danger took over. Today, we're diving into the most shocking, violent, and unforgettable sports brawls ever caught on camera. Number 1. Guardians versus White Sox. On August 5th, 2023, under the lights at Progressive Field in Cleveland, a regular season matchup between the Cleveland Guardians and the Chicago White Sox suddenly turned into a full-blown battlefield. In the 6th inning, Jose Ramirez slid hard into second base after an RBI double. But when he and Tim Anderson came face-to-face, baseball stopped being baseball. Words were exchanged. Tempers exploded. Anderson raised his fists like he was stepping into a prize fight, and within seconds, the infield became a danger zone. Ramirez fired back with a brutal right hand that sent Anderson crashing to the dirt, instantly lighting up the stadium and the internet. Then the benches emptied. Players, coaches, and staff stormed the field from both sides, turning second base into the center of a chaotic melee. The danger was real. One bad fall, one wild swing, one cleat in the wrong place, and someone could have left with far more than a bruised ego. The aftermath was serious. Multiple ejections, fines, and suspensions followed, with Anderson originally suspended 6 games and Ramirez 3. But here's the wild truth about sports: fans may condemn the violence, but they can't look away. Clips of the punch spread everywhere, turning the brawl into one of the most replayed, debated, and strangely entertaining moments of the MLB season. One slide, one stare down, one punch, and suddenly, America had its newest sports fight highlight. Number 2. Bowe versus Andrew Golota. Madison Square Garden has seen legends, knockouts, and championship glory. But on a hot night in July 1996, the world's most famous arena witnessed something much darker. A heavyweight fight that didn't end with a clean punch, but with a riot. Bowe came in as the American star, a former champion, with a name people respected. Across from him stood Andrew Golota, a dangerous Polish heavyweight who looked strong enough to change his career in one night. For a while, that was exactly what seemed to be happening. Golota was landing shots, controlling exchanges, and making the crowd believe an upset was coming. Then he crossed the line. Again and again, Golota hammered Bowe with illegal low blows. The referee warned him. The crowd grew restless, and Bowe's corner became furious. When Golota landed one final illegal shot, Bowe dropped to the canvas in pain. The fight was stopped. Golota was disqualified. But nobody was leaving quietly. In an instant, Bowe's entourage stormed the ring. Golota was attacked. Security rushed in. Fans spilled toward the ropes. Punches flew in places where punches were never supposed to fly. The ring built for 2 fighters suddenly became a dangerous trap, packed with angry men, panicked officials, and bodies pushing from every side. The aftermath was brutal injuries, arrests, and one of the ugliest scenes boxing had ever produced. Yet this is the strange truth about sports violence. People are horrified by it, but they also cannot stop watching. The Bowe-Golota riot became replay material for years, not because it was beautiful boxing, but because it was pure danger exploding live in front of the world. Number 3. Angels versus Mariners. On June 26, 2022, at Angel Stadium, the Seattle Mariners and Los Angeles Angels walked into a game that already felt poisoned. The night before, Mike Trout had been buzzed near the head. Julio Rodriguez had already seen a pitch fly behind him, and then Jesse Winker stepped into the box. One pitch from Andrew Wantz slammed into Winker's hip, and that was the spark. Winker didn't charge the mound. He turned toward the Angels' dugout. That made it even crazier. Instead of one batter versus one pitcher, the entire battlefield shifted toward the bench. Players poured out like a prison riot had broken loose in the middle of a baseball game. Bullpens emptied. Coaches screamed. Bodies crashed together along the foul line. Somewhere in the pile, injured Angels star Anthony Rendon even got involved, swiping at Winker while wearing a cast. This wasn't just pushing and shouting. It was dangerous because baseball fights are chaos in cleats, spikes, elbows, concrete walls, and dozens of grown men moving with zero control. One slip near the dugout steps could have meant a broken face, a torn knee, or worse. By the end, MLB handed out 12 suspensions, including 10 games for Angels manager Phil Nevin and 7 for Winker. But online, fans ate it up. The clip spread fast because as much as people say they hate violence, sports fans love the moment when a quiet game suddenly turns into absolute madness. Number 4, LeBron James versus Isaiah Stewart. On November 21st, 2021, at Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, the Lakers and Pistons were fighting through a regular NBA game when one box-out suddenly turned the floor into a danger zone. LeBron James and Isaiah Stewart were tangled up near the free throw lane. Then LeBron's arm swung back and caught Stewart in the face. A second later, Stewart's eye was split open, blood running down his face, and the mood inside the arena changed completely. But for viewers, this was the kind of chaos that freezes the screen. People may call it ugly, dangerous, and unnecessary, but when an NBA game suddenly feels like a street fight, America hits replay. Number 5, Giants versus Nationals, Bryce Harper versus Hunter Strickland. Revenge in baseball can be quiet. It can wait years. And on May 29th, 2017 at AT&T Park in San Francisco, it finally came screaming out of Hunter Strickland's right hand. The Nationals were leading the Giants when Bryce Harper stepped into the box in the 8th inning. To the crowd, it looked like another at-bat, but underneath it was old playoff blood. Back in 2014, Harper had crushed 2 postseason home runs off Strickland. 3 years later, Strickland drilled him with a fastball, and Harper instantly knew this wasn't just baseball anymore. Harper didn't walk to first. He snapped. He charged the mound, ripped off his helmet, and hurled it toward Strickland. The throw missed, but the message didn't. Within seconds, the two were trading punches in the middle of the diamond as both benches exploded onto the field. What made it dangerous wasn't just Harper and Strickland. It was the wave of bodies crashing in from every direction. In that kind of chaos, a player can get blindsided, stepped on, or seriously hurt before anyone even knows who threw the first punch. And someone did get hurt. Giants player Michael Morse suffered a concussion during the pileup, while Harper and Strickland were both ejected. MLB later suspended Harper for 4 games and Strickland for 6. For fans, it was ugly, reckless, and impossible to ignore the kind of baseball brawl that turns one pitch into years of replay fuel. Number 6, Manny Machado versus Yordano Ventura. On June 7th, 2016 at Camden Yards in Baltimore, Royals pitcher Yordano Ventura had already been throwing inside to Orioles star Manny Machado. The tension was sitting there all night, quiet, but loaded like a match near gasoline. Then in the 5th inning, Ventura fired a fastball that drilled Machado, and Machado didn't hesitate. He dropped the bat and charged straight for the mound. There was no slow buildup after that. Machado hit Ventura. Ventura fought back, and suddenly the infield was swallowed by both teams. Orioles orange and Royals blue crashed together in a pile of rage, with players sprinting from the dugouts before the umpires could even dream of controlling it. The danger was obvious. A mound charge is one of baseball's most explosive scenes, a 90+ miles per hour fastball A furious hitter, cleats digging into dirt, and two full teams rushing into a fight where anyone can get blindsided. One punch, one fall, one spike to the wrong place, and a sports highlight can become a serious injury. Both players were ejected. MLB later suspended Machado for 4 games and initially gave Ventura 9 games later, reduced to 8. But for fans, this was pure replay fuel. Not clean, not pretty, definitely not safe. Just raw baseball fury, the kind of moment people criticize in public, then search again the second they get home. Number 7. Myles Garrett versus Mason Rudolph. On November 14th, 2019, at First Energy Stadium in Cleveland, the Browns were closing out a win over the Pittsburgh Steelers when one final play turned into one of the most dangerous moments the NFL had seen in years. There were only seconds left, no championship on the line, no miracle comeback coming. Just a routine ending until Myles Garrett dragged Mason Rudolph to the ground. Then the routine disappeared. Rudolph grabbed at Garrett's helmet. Garrett grabbed back harder. The two men locked up on the turf, twisting, pulling, refusing to let go, while players around them realized something was going very wrong. And then came the image that froze the entire football world. Garrett ripped Rudolph's helmet off and swung it down at him like a weapon. For a second, it didn't feel like sports anymore. A football helmet is built to survive collisions from 300-pound athletes. In someone's hands, swung in anger, it becomes something far more dangerous. One clean hit to the head could have ended with a cracked skull, a career-threatening injury, or worse. Steelers players rushed in immediately. Maurkice Pouncey jumped on Garrett. Bodies hit the ground. Flags flew everywhere. The final seconds of a football game had turned into a scene that looked closer to a parking lot fight than an NFL broadcast. The punishment came fast. Garrett received an indefinite suspension. Pouncey and others were punished. And the league had to answer for one of its ugliest primetime moments. But America watched, rewatched, debated every angle. Because when football violence escapes the rules and becomes real danger, nobody can look away. Number 8. Australia versus Philippines. International basketball is supposed to feel bigger than a normal game. Flags, pride, national anthems, the weight of an entire country watching. But on July 2nd, 2018, inside Philippine Arena, in Bowe, Bulacan, Australia versus Philippines, turned from a World Cup qualifier into a scene that looked dangerously close to a riot. And that was it. Basketball disappeared. Players charged from both sides. Benches emptied. Bodies flew under the basket. One Filipino player even appeared to throw a chair, turning a court fight into something far more dangerous than a normal sports scuffle, where players could land on concrete, crash into equipment, or get hit by someone they never saw coming. In a crowded brawl, the scariest punch is usually the one from the side, with Australia awarded an 89-53 win because the Philippines no longer had enough eligible players to continue. FIBA later suspended 10 Filipino players, 3 Australian players, and 2 Philippine coaches, while both federations were fined. For fans, it was disgraceful, but also impossible to ignore. Number 9. Cardinals versus Reds. On August 10th, 2010, at Great American Ballpark, the Cardinals and Reds weren't just playing for a win, they were fighting for control of the NL Central. Then Brandon Phillips, fresh off harsh comments about St. Louis, stepped into the box and tapped catcher Yadier Molina's shin guard. Molina didn't laugh. He stepped forward. Phillips stepped back in, and suddenly home plate became a fuse box. ESPN lists the game at Great American Ballpark, with St. Louis winning 8-4. The benches emptied fast, but this wasn't the usual baseball dance of shouting and shoving. Bodies crashed toward the backstop. Managers got pulled into the mess. Players were pinned against the netting like a fight scene spilling into the crowd. And in the middle of that crush, Reds pitcher Johnny Cueto began kicking while trapped against the backstop, injuring Cardinals players including Jason LaRue, who suffered concussion symptoms afterward. That's what made this one dangerous. In baseball, a brawl near the plate is bad enough. But when cleats start flying near heads, eyes, ribs, and necks, the line between sports fight and real damage disappears. The punishment followed quickly. Cueto received a 7-game suspension, while both managers Tony La Russa and Dusty Baker were suspended 2 games and fined. Other players, including Molina and Phillips, were also fined. For fans, it was ugly but unforgettable. A division rivalry, a few angry words, one tap of a bat, and suddenly America had another clip it could condemn replay debate and watch all over again. Number 10. Avalanche versus Red Wings fight night at the Joe. Hockey already comes with violence built into the ice. But on March 26, 1997, at Joe Louis Arena in Detroit, the Colorado Avalanche and Detroit Red Wings didn't play a game, they settled a blood debt. This was not random anger. It went back to the 1996 Western Conference Finals, when Colorado's Claude Lemieux crushed Detroit's Chris Draper into the boards, leaving him with devastating facial injuries. Detroit remembered. The fans remembered. And when Lemieux returned to Hockeytown, the building felt less like an arena and more like a revenge chamber. Then Darren McCarty found Lemieux. McCarty jumped him, threw him down, and started swinging as the crowd exploded. But that was only the opening act. All over the ice, gloves dropped. Players paired off. Fists flew. Even the goalies, Mike Vernon and Patrick Roy, skated into the madness and started throwing punches like heavyweight fighters trapped in hockey pads. That was the dangerous part. Skates, sticks, helmets, blood, and angry men moving at full speed on ice. One fall could slice skin open. One punch near the boards could break a jaw. One player buried under the pile could be seriously injured before anyone pulled him out. The game became legendary for its brutality, 18 fighting majors, and well over 140 penalty minutes with Detroit, eventually winning 6-5 in overtime. For fans, it was terrifying, ugly, and absolutely electric. They didn't just watch a hockey rivalry that night. They watched hatred explode live on ice. And decades later, Fight Night at the Joe still feels less like a game and more like a warning in sports revenge can wait. But it never forgets. Number 11. Woody Hayes versus Clemson. Not every sports brawl starts with 2 athletes. Sometimes the most shocking punch comes from the one man who is supposed to keep everyone under control. On December 29, 1978, in the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville, Florida, Ohio State coach Woody Hayes was standing near the end of a legendary career. His Buckeyes were locked in a tense battle with Clemson, trailing late, desperate for one final drive. Then quarterback Art Schlichter threw the mistake that changed everything, an interception to Clemson linebacker Charlie Bauman. Bauman returned the ball toward the Ohio State sideline, and as he went out of bounds, he landed right in front of Hayes. In that instant, the pressure, the anger, and the humiliation exploded. Hayes swung his fist and punched the Clemson player. For a second, the stadium seemed to freeze. This wasn't a player losing control in the heat of contact. This was a Hall of Fame coach attacking an opposing athlete on national television. Then the sidelines erupted. Players shoved, officials jumped in, and the game suddenly felt unstable, like one more hit could turn the sideline into a full riot. The danger came from how quickly authority collapsed. When a coach throws the punch, the rules feel like they have disappeared. Players see it, fans see it. The whole country sees it. The aftermath was brutal and immediate. Clemson won the game 17-15, and the next day, Ohio State fired Woody Hayes. One punch ended one of college football's most famous coaching careers. And that is why people still watch the clip decades later. It is ugly, shocking, almost unbelievable, the kind of sports meltdown America condemns, remembers, and replays forever. Replays forever. Replay. Number 11. Woody Hayes versus Clemson. Not every sports brawl starts with two athletes. Sometimes the most shocking punch comes from the one man who is supposed to keep everyone under control. On December 29, 1978, in the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville, Florida, Ohio State coach Woody Hayes was standing near the end of a legendary career. His Buckeyes were locked in a tense battle with Clemson, trailing late, desperate for one final drive. Then quarterback Art Schlichter threw the mistake that changed everything, an interception to Clemson linebacker Charlie Bauman. Bauman returned the ball toward the Ohio State sideline, and as he went out of bounds, he landed right in front of Hayes. In that instant, the pressure, the anger, and the humiliation exploded. Hayes swung his fist and punched the Clemson player. For a second, the stadium seemed to freeze. This wasn't a player losing control in the heat of contact. This was a Hall of Fame coach attacking an opposing athlete on national television. Then the sidelines erupted. Players shoved, officials jumped in, and the game suddenly felt unstable, like one more hit could turn the sideline into a full riot. The danger came from how quickly authority collapsed. When a coach throws the punch, the rules feel like they have disappeared. Players see it, fans see it, the whole country sees it. The aftermath was brutal and immediate. Clemson won the game 17-15. And the next day, Ohio State fired Woody Hayes. One punch ended one of college football's most famous coaching careers. And that is why people still watch the clip decades later. It is ugly, shocking, almost unbelievable, the kind of sports meltdown America condemns, remembers, and replays forever. Replays forever. Replay.